of which I served almost a full 4 years behind bars. So that was an entire stop. Life stopped. And I had to learn how to live again. And I had to learn, it was, like I said, it was a very tough pill to swallow. I had to accept that I had caused this horrific, tragic event that took 4 people's lives. And how do I live with that? And so thank God for elders, because it was some elders who saved me, who helped me to understand that I was not my addiction, that the person who caused that accident was not the person I was inside. And actually something that the elder told me was the one thing that I clung to that helped me find recovery and helped me find my sanity. And what they told me was, alcohol and drugs are dark spirits. When we put those into our bodies, our true spirit steps aside. It doesn't want to be near those spirits. So when we're drinking and using drugs, we become somebody else. We become whatever that dark spirit wants us to be. And although our spirit may not be with us, our true one at that time, it never truly leaves us. It waits for those dark spirits to leave and tries to fight back. And so this is where withdrawals come from, by the way, is your dark spirit and your true spirit are fighting to try and keep your soul, is what it works out to. To this day, I will not say, I've been a big proponent and promoter of AA and NA programs. The 12 steps saved my life as well, helped me to recognize that, nobody chooses to be an addict. A lot of people think that's just a choice we make.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that all addiction, alcoholism, drugs, it all stems from trauma. Lord knows, even before my accident, I had been through tons of trauma. I'm a child sexual assault survivor. I spent 7 years of my life being molested daily by an adult that my family trusted. Went through teen years and gang rapes and all sorts of horrific things in life that I kept shoving into a closet in the back of my head. And I firmly believed, you just close that door and it disappears. But the problem is when you live trauma like that, it doesn't go away. It festers until it boils over and the closet door busts open. And then alcohol and drugs take over. You look for any way you can to numb that pain. And that's what I was doing my whole life, was numbing pain. I had lots of moments in time in my life of sobriety. I never drank or used drugs when I was pregnant. I never drank or used drugs when I was on the job. But the minute I got home, out came the booze. On the weekends, out came the drugs. And it was just a case of trying to cope with my trauma. And I always tell people, 4 people died because I didn't deal with my shit. Excuse my language, but that's exactly what happened.
It's totally fine. Yeah.
And so, yeah. So now I spend most of my life doing whatever I can because I believe I lived that and I'm survived that accident because I was meant to do something from there. I was meant to make a difference. I was meant to teach people that you may not think you have a problem, but if you even potentially have a problem, you need to deal with it. You need to address it. If you've been through trauma, don't numb it. Talk to somebody. Reach out to somebody. Find someone. Get help. Anybody who tells you that mental health and addictions are not connected knows nothing about the subject. They're 100% connected. So if you need help, reach out. Find somebody you trust. If you don't trust anybody, find a way to trust because you have to.
Yeah. Because there are so many things, right, that are totally out of your control when you have addiction, when you're living in active addiction. It is not a testament to your actual character. It is a sickness, right? And that
100%.
I think that your story is so important, or your experience, pardon me, I don't want to call it a story because it's not a story, it's your life. And I think it's so important to talk about it openly like you do, and you told me that this was part of your recovery anyway, so you agreed to come on the Bee Hive Live today, which I thank you so much for doing that. I think your message is so important, and your experience is so important to talk about for other people to understand to the level of ramifications that addiction can have in a person's life.
Yeah, we all just think, and the thing that appalled me the most when I got out of jail was some of my friends that I said, that drank more than I did, after seeing what I went through, and I get out of jail and I find out they're getting picked up for DUIs. And I'm like, where did you miss the moral to the story, right? And unfortunately, that's the problem. And that's why I talk so loudly about this, is we all think that can't be me. That's never going to happen to me. Right. Lord knows, I remember a month or two before my accident watching a news story about a woman who was going through charges for having taken a life while behind the wheel under the influence. And I remember in that moment, and I will say this for me, I did recognize at that point that nobody chooses that. Thinking to myself, that poor woman must be really suffering, right? With no thought that I could be that woman, right? There are days that are still hard, to the extent where, I wake up and the first thought used to be for years, the first thought every morning when I woke up is somebody died because of you, right? That's something you don't just shed. I still wake up some mornings with that thought, but not every morning anymore. And the reason is because, like I said, I've spent everything I can in my life since those moments and since I've been released in trying to educate people, in trying to help people. I am now the manager of a homeless shelter, what we call the high acuity shelter in our city here. I actually was the founder of this one. I was the one who came up with the policies and how we actually operate. And it focuses on all of the people with mental health and addictions who are literally barred out of every other shelter in our city. And we've lost people, and we've lost lots of people.
Of course.
Last month there was 5 ladies who died. It's hard. But for everyone, and this is my lesson to everyone, why am I able to keep going? Because I've learned that out of tragedy, there is a silver lining, always. I pray every day for the family of my victims, because some of them are really still stuck. I still get nasty. It's been 10 years. It'll be 10 years in January. Since the accident. 10 years of sobriety. I always tell people my sobriety date is both a joy and a pain for me, because it's a painful reminder of what it took to bring my sobriety. But I hang on to the fact that I firmly believe that out of tragedy, good comes as well. There's a silver lining in everything. One of the family members has forgiven me. He actually wrote a book about his recovery process of recovering from the accident.
Amazing.
He and I have actually met. We've had coffee. We've talked about doing conversations together with people. Because he and himself reached out. He wanted to know who this person was that took away his family, his niece, his nephew, his sister, his brother-in-law. He wanted to know me. And so before he ever found out anything really about me, he reached out to my children, which really creeped me out at the beginning, I have to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that this person was, and I was scared for my children's safety, because my kids did get death threats. Some of my kids left all social media after my accident. People are horrendous. There were people who were threatening to kill my grandchildren because they felt that was somehow justice.
Make it
I want
fair.
you to let that sink in. There were people out there who were angered by what I had done and somehow felt that would justify killing my grandchildren. So when this guy reached out to my kids, I have to admit I was a little nervous, but he got to know me through them. And in doing so, he started his recovery process. And he wrote an amazing book. It's called, I believe it's called After the Crush. He sent me an autographed copy of the book. Like I said, we've become somewhat, I won't say we're friends, but we're definitely acquaintances who care about each other. You know, that he changed his life. He said that the accident woke him up. He had been so materialistic his whole life. It all had been about money and business, and he realized he had nothing. And in his recovery process, he found the woman, the love of his life, and they're still together to this day. And he says that would never have happened if it hadn't been for the accident. He said that he would never have written a book. He would never have done a lot of the things he's done.
Right.
And so
the butterfly effect.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
What I had, my daughter says, Mom, you were meant to manage that homeless shelter. There's a reason this happened, because you wouldn't have been there. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing if what happened hadn't happened.
Yeah. Right.
Does it mean that I don't wish daily that it hadn't happened? There's a part in the 12 steps that talks about having no regrets. And it's the one thing I am not able to do yet. There was never a day that goes by where I will not regret that day. Where I will not regret the result of that day. Where I will not regret the pain I caused people, my own family, the family of my victims, people who were just affected by the story in itself.
Yeah.
I will never, ever be able to say I don't regret that. And that's the only place I'm stuck in the 12 steps.
Yeah.
And I've worked them a number of times, guys. And I'm telling you, if you think you might have a problem, go to a meeting. Those 12 steps, man, if you actually work the steps, wow, they can help.
Yeah.
They can help in levels you will not understand, because what they do is make you sit down and look at your life. And if you have trauma, it teaches you how to live with it. Teaches you how to live without alcohol or drugs. So if you have an opportunity to take in a 12-step program, I highly urge you to do so. If you have